Eamon Khan here for Seconds Out with Matchroom Boxing CEO Frank Smith, ahead of DEC2 tomorrow, also known as Conlan versus Gill, the Get Back. Frank, so how you doing?
Good, mate. I love DEC2. I was trying to work out what you were saying. Meant December 2.
That's the one. Maybe clever for my own good there a little bit. Might have tripped up there as well too. We'll listen to it back. Look, Conlan versus Gill. I spoke to both of them. Bit of make a break for both of them. Neither fighter will want to be on the losing end. Not exactly like a retirement path for either, but a long road back either for whoever finds himself on the end of the defeat.
Yeah, 100%. This fight means so much, and you've got two fighters in there without, quitting them. We've seen them in some amazing fights over the last few years, and that's why we're excited for tomorrow night, because we know whatever happens is going to be a great fight. Michael Conlan obviously coming off the back of a tough fight against Lopez. His chance to win a world title. Jordan Gil, obviously, we've seen some great nights with him, especially the Guerfi, where he pulled that win out the bag there. So, I think we're in for a great fight, and like you say, the loser of this fight, I think, is going to have to think about their options. But neither of them will be thinking about that. They'll be focused on Saturday night and getting the win.
Fans of boxing cards will often look at cards, scrutinise them, look at them, highlight them and say maybe this isn't this isn't that. But this has been applauded for the card that you put on here. Talk me through the rest of the card.
Yeah, look, it's a great show top to bottom, and credit to Jamie Conlan as well, who we worked with. Obviously wanted to work with Michael for a long time, but credits to Jamie on delivering, because they were obviously doing some of these fights already on the card as well prior to us working with them. So excited for Saturday night. You've obviously got McKenna against Crocker, which is an unbelievable fight. It's going to be chief support. They've sold 1,300 tickets between the two of them. Going to be some atmosphere in there for it. I think many people have Crocker the favourite of that, but we've seen the back and forth between the two of them, and they're both ready. Obviously, Agyarko against Troy Williamson is another brilliant fight on the card. He's Agyarko. I think this is an important fight for him, because if he can get through Troy Williamson, it sets him up for some massive fights in 2024. These are the kind of fights he needs if he's going to be in those discussions for those big fights next year. Troy's obviously a tremendous fighter. We've seen him in there with some great opponents, but this is the kind of test he needs to step up as he goes along. Got Cameron Vong's back out as well. Leli Batieg's professional debut. So it's a great card, top to bottom.
Lee Wood is in town, and there's been talk of the winner. If it's Michael Conlan, I don't think Jordan Gill's interested because they're friends. If Michael Conlan wins, that he could get the rematch with Lee Wood. Is that on offer here, and how do you balance that with Josh Warrington's interest in the fight too?
Look, I think as we stand here today, the Josh Warrington fight is the commercially bigger fight, I think. Right now, look, we saw an amazing night when Lee Wood fought Michael Conlan in Nottingham. What was it, over a year and a half ago now? A tremendous fight, one of the best fights we've seen, and I definitely think there's the great thing is in and amongst this division and these weights, there's so many great fights to be made over the next year. So although Wood Warrington right now I'd say is the favourite, the winner of that could fight then Michael Conlan later in the year. So many ways to do it, and I definitely think you see some big fights next year.
Widening the scope of boxing, there's been some developments in the sport, mainly the Conor Benn situation. A licence has been rejected by the British Board of Boxing Control. Oh, I think I've said that wrong, but anyway, the point remains. Can you set the table as to what the next steps are for Conor Benn and getting the fight forward if that's the route you're looking to go?
Yeah, look, Eddie went into a lot of detail around it all tomorrow. There's not much I can really add right now. First and foremost, we need to make the fight. The fight's not made. So as we stand here today, we're talking about ifs, buts, maybes, hypotheticals of things that aren't there yet. So that's the focus, make the fight, and then we go from there. We work from there. We're obviously disappointed in the way things have gone, but, let's see if we can make the fight first and then go from there.
Have you looked at, speaking of hypotheticals, have you looked at potential other sanctioned bodies for routes of getting the fight forward? We know that the PBA sanctioned fights in this country. Is that a potential option if the British Boxing Board of Control don't licence them?
There's lots of options. There's lots of options of things to do. Obviously, as we've said on multiple occasions, our focus and we want the BBFC to be involved in this event. As we sit here today, Conor Benn's not suspended. It would be different if he had a suspension. His suspension was lifted. He's free to box, and our focus is to keep his career moving. But again, we can talk about other licensing bodies. As you say, there's many licensing bodies out there that stage events in the UK. We've seen it with multiple promoters historically have done it as well. When the BBFC wouldn't sanction an event, so it's not. There's precedence there for it to be done. We've seen a number of BBFC licence holders involved in misfits events, etc. over time. So, it's not. We wouldn't be the first to do this, but like I say, focus first and foremost, make the fight, and then go from there.
Does what happened change any of your confidence at all that you'll win, or Conor Benn will win the appeal that will happen early next year?
Look, again, I'm not a lawyer, but I believe appeals 99.9% of the time go the same way as the first decision. But that's something. It's frustrating that it's taken this long to even get to this point. So as we stand here today, the focus is make the fight and go from there. I don't believe it changes anything from an appeal process, but I'm not a lawyer.
Fair enough. A couple of things away from this, and I'll let you crack on with the weigh-in. You'll do that anyway. But interesting little bit. Ryan Garcia felt that he had to get something off his chest yesterday at the press conference. It was, and kind of had a little swipe at Bernard Hopkins and Oscar De La Hoya. I wonder what you thought of that little interaction.
Yeah, look, it's never good. It's never ideal when a fighter's obviously training for such a big fight and in fight week. It's hard. I can't really talk on it because I'm not involved in the situation. I can't really have an opinion on it because I don't know the ins and outs, the backs and forths between the two of them. But it's never good to see. You're not always. Look, the reality is there's going to be tough times sometimes between promoters and fighters. As with anything in life, you don't always agree on things, and people have different opinions and views on things, but I don't really want to go too much into the situation itself because I don't know enough about it. But hopefully Ryan can focus on the fight ahead of him because it's a tough fight against Duarte, and that he should be fully focused on that, and hopefully not let other things get in the way of that.
David Benavidez has expressed his interest in a fight with Dimitri Bivol as his co-promoter. Do you have an interest in that fight as well?
Look, I think the focus, obviously, for Dimitri's fight December 23rd, the fight that everyone wants to see is that undisputed fight. Obviously, Beterbiev and Smith fight for the other belts on January 13th. So I think that will be the focus, but it doesn't mean that's not a fight that can happen in the future. It would be a great fight, but first and foremost, and I know what's on Dimitri Bivol's mind is to win the undisputed fight. So hopefully we can make that happen in due course.
What is the status or understanding with the broadcasting rights for the day of reckoning? DAZN have them, but I believe they're not exclusive, and maybe there's more additional information to come as to broadcasting rights in this country. Looking at the fights, there's a logical split that can be made 4 and 4. Matchroom get their interests, and another broadcaster gets the other interests. I don't know if I'm on the right track of lines there, but will there be more information? Do you know if it's the case that there's more information to come in terms of broadcasting for the UK for the day of reckoning?
That's something for obviously the Saudi entity, so the GEA and seller, etc., to deal with. So the key focus for us was obviously the DAZN piece. DAZN are Anthony's exclusive broadcast partner. The focus for us was to make sure it was on the DAZN platform. DAZN worked directly with them to deliver that. I can't sit here today and give you any more answers than what's already out there, but I'm sure if there's news, it will follow soon from the relevant parties.
Leave it there, Frank. Appreciate it.
Cheers, mate.